Good afternoon, Lisa.
Good afternoon, Andrew.
Not so hot today.
No, it's a bit cooler.
So, Colin Baker is Drahoo with the twin dilemma. Actually, that's not a very garish colour, is it? It's very green.
No, it's quite a green colour.
But compared to
gastropod green.
gastropod green, but compared to the title sequence and Colin's coat
And the rest of it.
and Perry's costume and the lieutenant's costume and everybody else's costume, it's quite subdued. So, twin dilemma. What do you think when I say the twin dilemma?
I think Colin Baker's doing his very best. I mean, in fact, all the actors, apart from one or two, are doing their very best.
Yeah.
I think they're let down by the story a little.
Yeah.
Which, as you pointed out, the science is absolute bobbins.
Well, there were problems, I think, getting the script done, and I think Eric Saywood has said that it becomes increasingly Eric Saywood towards the end. I think J&T in his memoirs said something about Anthony Stevens' excuses for late scripts became more and more inventive, including the exploding typewriter.
Right. That's a unique one, that one.
Yeah, whether it was a manual typewriter that exploded, which would have been really clever, or not, I really don't know. But yes, yes, Colin, certainly. I was very excited for Colin as the new Doctor. And I don't really remember thinking his costume was a mistake at the time. I do in hindsight.
Yes.
But I accepted it as... And as we said on the sort of Twitter thing last night, you can tell we're in the era of computer games.
Yes.
Because I put up the loading screens for Manic Miner for the Spectrum, and they're all very, very bright colours, aren't they?
Yes.
And this is not only on Colin, but as
everything is.
Yeah, but as has been pointed out, Colin's costume means that your cameras then respond within a certain range, and thus everybody else's costume and the set have to be
coloured. Yeah.
Interestingly, I think as time went on, that didn't seem to be so much of a problem, because if you look at something like Revelation of the Daleks, it's all a lot darker, isn't it? But yeah.
But then he spent a lot of that covered in the blue
in the
cloak.
blue thing. Yeah, that's true. Yes, it's not a particularly spectacular story as such.
No.
And yes, you're right. The whole thing about moving the planets closer to the thing will cause a problem. Just because they're small doesn't mean they're going to be affected by the gravity. Because the moon's quite happy going around the Earth, even though it's smaller than the Earth. And Venus and Mercury are smaller than the Earth, and they're closer to the Sun.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm not going to... And the whole thing about sending the slug eggs out into other planets. Which other planets would these be? If they're ones in other solar systems, it's going to take thousands of years for them to get there.
Yeah.
So unless they're like space warping eggs as well, with little motors on them, I really don't know how that's supposed to work. But Maurice Denham's fun.
Yes, Maurice Denham is very good.
He's being suitably sort of serious, isn't he?
Yes.
I'm not sure what the smock he's wearing is meant to be.
No. Edwin Richfield is doing a superb job, considering he's completely hampered by that awful costume.
Yes,
he's doing it all with his voice.
It's a shame, because it's so immobile, that mask, isn't it? It's really... I remember they showed some clips on Blue Peter, and I was quite excited, just to preview. And then, of course, Colin was on there holding the cats as well.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And I think it was Jack, was it?
Jack,
he was holding,
yes.
and Jack was quite happy to sit there.
Yeah,
so.
well, you could tell that Colin Baker liked cats.
Yeah, so I liked that thing that the Doctor liked cats, so
Yes.
that was good, because I did, and of course still do. Yeah, set design wise, it is suffering a bit from the lack of money at the end of the season. There's a bit too much tinfoil knocking around, isn't there? And that thing about Xanium made me laugh. You know, we've discovered Xanium. You know what that means? An extraterrestrial kidnap. Why? Now, you know, my chemistry tells me that, you know, Xanium, whatever it is, no idea. But is it part of a new sort of column on the periodic table, because of course you get the whole point about the periodic table is, sodium is quite similar to potassium, is quite, and they explode in water, and they've both got one spare electron and all that. Xanium is like sort of in a group that's not been discovered, like it's got other things like wackium and daftium and things like that. I really don't know. So I don't know why this element would prove.
It's extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's used in space drives or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, don't use a space drive. It uses a teleport, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Perhaps it's used in teleports.
Yeah. What was it you said? Ring binder reinforcers on their
they look
wrists.
a bit bigger than the normal ones.
Yeah, they are a bit bigger than that.
But yeah, the amount of times I've used those, and you stick it to the paper, and then when you move your hand, it stuck your finger.
And I got all excited over the TARDIS costumes, didn't I?
Yes.
The TARDIS costume. The costumes in the TARDIS wardrobe room.
Yeah.
As I spotted what appears to be Harry Worth's band costume from Oh Happy Band, which is this green thing with like gold braiding on it.
Perhaps Colin should have worn that.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, Harry Worth got away with it. It might not be Harry Worth, because I think everybody in the band wore a similar costume, so it could be sort of Tony. Is it Simpson or the little old man?
Tony Simpson didn't look that small.
Yeah, well, but everybody's got that thing. If you look up "Oh Happy Band," so that was exciting. I don't know whether anybody's ever written that down before. But,
no, probably
but
not.
It just jumped out at me because I thought, hang on, I've seen that somewhere before recently. Because occasionally I look up like weird end title sequences of things, don't I? And
you do.
I happened to look up "Oh Happy Band" a few weeks ago, but that was right. But yeah. It does have the problem with following Androzani, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. I think anything that followed Androzani is going to suffer, because Androzani is such a good story.
Yeah, the whole sort of erratic Doctor thing, I didn't really mind.
No.
I mean, I know people were shocked last night to see the Doctor trying to strangle Perry, and probably quite right too. But being shocked, that is, not strangling Perry. But yeah, the gastropod's not the most memorable of monsters.
No.
Unfortunately, because he's all hairy, he does resemble sort of a big carpet, doesn't he, really?
Yeah.
But I saw promise in Twin Dilemma, that's the thing, and the promise was Colin.
Yes.
So I was already ready to see the next story with him. And of course, as always, we had to wait. So...
Yes.
There you go. Anything else?
No.
No? Okay. Right. New season, 1985, Attack of the Cybermen. New 45-minute format.
Yes.
And I think obviously so. Because as I said to you, this story does fall into two halves, very obviously. You've got all the Earth stuff in part one, and then we moved location to Telos early on into part two. Yes, I think I said to you that the best bit in the whole story is not any of the showpiece explosions or fights.
No.
It's just the bit where the car drives up at the start with Maurice Colborne and chums in it, and it does feel like it's some film work from Minder or something like that, because you've got these sort of dodgy sorts in a car plotting something. So it does feel like a sort of police series or Minder or I mean, it almost looks like Only Fools and Horses as well.
In some ways,
because of the sort of slightly sort of knackered car that they've got, and the idea that they were going to do this sort of bank raid was quite exciting. I thought, we've not done this in Doctor Who before. And then the plot completely veers away from it.
Yes.
And the more it veers away from that shot, the more sort of bog standard Doctor Who it becomes.
Yes.
I was really on board for some sort of urban Cyberman crime thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it would have been more interesting, because I do think, and this is something that will happen increasing more in this season,
Yeah.
and that's happened in season 20. It gets a bit bogged down in the show's own history.
Yeah, there's an awareness of it,
Which is
isn't
fine
there?
if you're a fan,
Yeah.
but if you're just somebody wanting something to watch on a Saturday afternoon that's not the A-Team,
No.
you're going to be totally confused.
I mean, the Halley's Comet stuff is great because
Yeah.
I was excited that Halley's Comet was coming back, and I did manage to see Halley's Comet in my garden with my telescope. Halley's Comet wasn't in my garden; it wasn't like buzzing about.
No.
But I got my telescope out and saw it. Late '85 and '86. That was great. So yeah, that's nice to make it a contemporary thing. But then you've got all these references back to Tomb of the Cybermen, 10th Planet. That's nonsense as well because what is it? The thing is to get rid of get rid of the Earth so that Mondas doesn't blow up. But the whole point of Mondas going to the Earth in the first place was to get the energy.
Yeah, the energy. Yeah.
So whichever way they lose out.
Yes.
So
yes.
that doesn't really.
And the fact that I know this is only a minor thing, but you get all the stuff about the tombs, but they look different.
Yeah.
They've been redesigned.
Yeah.
You know, the
It's
cyber
more
leaders had
more-
the interior decorators in.
Yeah, exactly. And Mr. O'Reilly from O'Reilly Builders.
I mean, they do look nice.
Yeah, but they're a bit too shower cubically, aren't they?
Yeah.
I could almost say, and it'll make him laugh if he does watch this, the story does start to fall apart when they get rid of Terry Malloy.
Yes. Yes, Terry, you should have fought to stay on longer.
Yeah. But Terry's character is a nice...
It grounds it.
Yeah, is a nice dose of reality in there. Yeah. And it would have been nice to have him with the Doctor on Telos.
But then I suppose you've got that with Griffiths as well, haven't you?
Well,
it's strange that, because apparently Griffiths was also meant to be killed off at the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
And they pulled him on into episode 2 because it was running short and they needed a subplot.
Right,
so you could have had Russell in that part instead of... Not that obviously, more Brian Glover's always good.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Glover is another very good thing here.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Maurice Colborne obviously is great.
He is.
But the second half never quite comes together for me. You've got some very good ideas in there, and you've got some interesting characters that could have been sort of developed a bit more, I think. I mean, are the Cryons necessary? I don't know that they are.
I don't know if they are really. They don't really... All they add to it is the fact that Litton's not an out-and-out bad guy.
Yeah. They do feel like, well, we need something new for part 2. And somebody for the Doctor to talk to. Yeah.
And it's that could have been another human.
Yeah.
He could have talked to. I mean, even almost like one of the prisoners, like Bates or Stratton. Not those two particularly, but those people that they tried to convert into Cybermen, where the programming hadn't worked. You could have one of those shut in the cold room.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Atwell's great as well.
Michael Atwell's fabulous.
Yeah. Because, Michael Atwell also to be seen in Are You Being Served?
Yes.
With your favourite episode where he starts to laugh. And, of course, Oliver Twist, isn't he? As giving a great performance.
I think he might have got Oliver Twist because of this.
As Bill Sykes, he's very good at that sort of intimidation, sort of hard man stuff, isn't he?
Because he was quite a tall, sort of imposing person.
Yeah.
So, he had the bulk to carry off the sort of level of threat.
Yeah.
I think.
So some good actors.
And we should say about the Cryons, I mean, the costumes and the makeup, the masks are interesting. But I said to you, are they masks? Or is there actually is the Cryon underneath that?
Is that clothes or protective thing?
Because you can see the eyes underneath with the mascara that's been very heavily
I don't know,
on.
because sometimes I think that all that stuff is meant to be ice, and they're actually made out of ice.
Right.
So that's the stuff that melts. But on the other hand, you're right, it could be like they're inside some sort of protective thing.
Almost like a spacesuit.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it's never made clear.
No.
I really don't know. Some days I think one thing and some days I think the other. So,
but I do like the fact that they've got the hand movements, the touching, the way they touch. It's all very elegantly done, and all the touching on the shoulder and the gesticulating with the hands. They've worked it out between themselves because obviously they wouldn't have, as they do now, they have a choreographer to help them do it, and they wouldn't have had that then. Unless they got Gary Downey to do it, of course.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think a fairly strong start to the season.
Yeah.
Opening stories are sometimes a mixed bag. I mean, things like Warriors of the Deep doesn't get the season 21 offset. So don't judge a season by its opener. But I think this is not a bad start. I think so good. And now we've got 2 of these, haven't we?
We have.
So there's Vengeance on Varos, and there's Vengeance on Varos Special Edition with I think there's some extra stuff from Matthew Sweet on there, and an interview with Philip Martin, and we'll look at how Doctor Who has been incorporated in the medium of television in its narrative, and lots of breakfast time in the Superstore and French and Saunders and all sorts of stuff on there. So Varos then.
Yes.
Go on then. Tell me what you think of Varos.
It's an interesting story, but it's very nasty in places. I mean, the bit particularly where one guard falls into the acid and pulls the other guard in.
Yeah.
Not as people think the Doctor pushes him, he doesn't. The other guard pulls him in.
No.
It is, but you get the little James Bondian quip.
Yeah.
Which feels very out of place.
Yeah.
In Doctor Who.
I like the fact they've gone for this really dark, oppressive atmosphere. That's fine, and they achieve that very well, almost too well in places.
Yeah.
But you don't really get a point where the Doctor has a moral... You don't get the feeling that moral indignation at this society. He should be utterly appalled at the world he's in. But you just get the feeling that the Doctor sort of accepts it, that's the way that is. He should be trying to overthrow everything in this story, and you do feel like he's not angry enough about it, and he should be.
No. Yeah. I mean, I sort of think if you were to place one of the other Doctors in this storyline, and the one that leaps out for me is the 3rd Doctor, it's John Pertwee's Doctor. He'd spend the whole time shouting at people because of the injustice of the world.
I'm thinking of the Pirate Planet, actually, and Tom with the pirate captain.
Oh, Tom, yeah.
You need some scene like that.
The moral indignation of the sheer...
And unfortunately, the ending of it makes no sense economically.
No.
Because the whole point of this is that Syl is ripping off the planet by making them sell the... what's it to him?
Frightened
7 or whatever, for a very low price. Then they find another source, which means that this planet is now not the only source of it, which from their point of view makes their stock of it less valuable.
Yes.
But apparently space economics works the other way around to normal economics. This new source means they can charge what they like for it. If you were to find a new source of oil, the price of oil would go down, not up.
Yes.
Yeah. So a bit of basic economics is needed.
Yes. And needed to be.
And unfortunately, it's a thing that happens off screen that brings the story to a close. It should be the Doctor bringing the story to a close. The Doctor is still not involved with the way the story ends, and that's a great shame.
Yes.
But on the other hand, Nabil Shaban is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah. He's probably the most successful monster of this era, do you think? Certainly from a kid's point of view.
Yeah, he's very easy to
imitate. And no, I'm not going to do it. Don't do the laugh. No. I was torn as to whether I should, and we discussed it, and you said, no, don't do the laugh.
Yeah.
No, all right. But yeah, the whole sort of 1984 sort of TV reality stuff, it does feel quite Dennis Pottery in some ways, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That whole commenting on television, and we really must get round to seeing Gangsters, mustn't we? Because Have we got it?
No.
We haven't got it.
No.
All right. Well, we should. You know,
We have to get Gangsters and then we can watch it.
Yeah, we're supposed to be sort of
Add it to the huge pile of
talking
DVDs.
about old TV, and we've never even seen Gangsters. So.
Yeah. Well, that's got Maurice Colburn in as well, hasn't it? So,
Yeah, but that Gangsters apparently goes really weird in places.
yeah,
so.
there's a bit where they talk to the viewer at home or something.
I really don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so yeah, getting Philip Martin on board is a great idea, and it's nice that a writer with sort of his history is keen to do Doctor Who.
It's Doctor Who, isn't it? I think a lot
Yeah,
of most.
but I know Eric
people-
Saywood has said getting writers who wanted to do it and were skilled as well. That was a problem, because you have to encourage new writers. But then you need some solid people that you know are going to work. So yes, he's got Bob Holmes, but he's always looking around for the next Bob Holmes, which is as it should be.
Yeah.
And yeah, Philip Martin is a good match for Doctor Who. But it's possible that again, Eric and Philip are pulling in slightly different directions, and I think that becomes more obvious in Mind Warp. I mean, this story went through lots and lots of rewrites because it's originally a sort of Fifth Doctor Nyssa Tegan job.
Okay.
It goes back that long. I think it's called Domain or something. And if you look it up, there's so many rewrites. And I think I think it was Philip Martin said he was just getting used to all the rewrite money as a regular source of income. Oh, I've got to rewrite it again in another 3 months. Great, yeah. So yeah, it's. I can understand it causing problems in the time slot it's shown, because the material does feel like it's a 7:30 slot, not a 5:30 slot, or whenever it was.
But even so, like saying that, the Peter Capaldi's second season went at a later slot and was a bit darker and still got criticised for A, being in a later slot, and B, being that little bit darker for it.
I think that's possibly actually because it was commissioned for Peter Davison. That's the slot Philip Martin's writing for.
Right.
So a sort of early evening slot, not the tea time slot, which is by the time it gets broadcast. So that could be where sort of some of the sort of darker material maybe should have been reviewed in terms of when we're actually going to show this. I mean, because the whole hanging scene stuff as well is not really very nice.
No.
And again, you wouldn't be. There's stuff in this you just wouldn't be allowed to show now. I think. I think that's fair to say. But on the other hand, I think it's sometimes good when Doctor Who surprises its audience. Unfortunately, this season, it's possibly doing it at the wrong point, given what management think of the show. So
a lot of the time, they are giving Michael Grade
some ammunition.
The ammunition he needs to say no, we're going to cancel it.
Yeah, that's a shame. But good on you for trying. I think that's an important thing to say. That you know, never think you know what a Doctor Who story is going to be.
No.
Because even at the time, I remember thinking, oh, this is a bit like the Sunmakers, in that you've got this sort of little villain sitting on his seat, who's sort of economic power and all of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, there were elements of old Doctor Who in there that I felt I could recognise. But there we go. So, interesting story. And now, what have we got coming up next? The rest of season 22, apart from the Dalek story.
Apart from Revelation of the Daleks, which is the best story of the season.
Of the season, of course.
But it is available on DVD.
Yeah.
So, yes, tonight it's Mark of the Rani.
Yes.
2 Doctors.
And Time Lash.
And Time Lash. If nothing else, you get Pat in 2 Doctors, and Time Lash is fun.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see you again soon then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.